Q&A about effective communication by Peter Garlack. Lesson 2 of 7, learn to communicate effectively. This is lesson 2.4, break the cycle. Okay? Skipping the first paragraphs. Adults growing effective thinking and communication skills together is a vital requisite for high nurturous families and relationships. Average adults and all kids lack these skills and endure significant frustration and conflicts as a result. These Q&A items assume you are familiar with Lesson 1, concepts about personality subselves. Links below lead to brief answers on this page and the other articles, or you can just listen to all previous lessons to this one. Suggestions: scan all these questions before following any links to get a sense of their scope. Pause and notice what you think and feel after you have scanned. Option: try answering each question out loud before reading the answer. Option: to raise your interest, try this quiz on a basic communication knowledge and return here. Questions you should ask about effective communication. 1. Is there an overview of communication basics in this website? Yes. 2. What is interpersonal communication? What are interpersonal communications? 4. Why do we communicate? 5. What are the 2 essentials for effective versus good communications? 6. What is an R message and why can I make it or break any communication? 7. What can I do to improve the effectiveness of any verbal communications? 8. Is it possible not to communicate with someone in a relationship? No. 9. What are the 3 concurrent channels that we all use to decode the meaning of each other's behaviors? 10. What's a double mixed message and what causes them? 11. What are the 4 kinds of messages we unconsciously decode from each other at all times over each of our 3 channels? 12. What are the 7 communication skills I and anyone can use to meet my social needs? 13. What are these 5 types of conflict I can experience and how can my partners, resolve them, each of them? 14. What do most people do instead of effective problem solving? 15. What are majors mind racing or churning? And can I reduce them? 16. How can I learn more about my non-verbal communication habits? 17. What are emotional E-level and how does it affect my communication effectiveness? 18. What are the relationship boundaries and how can I assert mine effectively? 19. What's the difference between a service need and a primary need and how should I care? 20. What's the difference between a request and a demand and why should I care? 21. How can I become more confident and skilled for asking for what I need? 22. What's the difference between assertion and aggression? 23. What's the difference between verbal abuse and aggression? 24. What is the communication mapping and what is useful? 25. Do typical males and females communicate differently? If so, why should I care? 26. How can I learn to give effective feedback to others? 27. What are communication sequences and partners and why are they important? 28. What may I be doing that blocks effective communication with important others? 29. How can I improve my communication outcomes in general and with typical kids? 30. What is the be spontaneous paradox and why do they harm relationships? 31. What are communication options with an adult or child who won't tell me what they think or feel? 22. Why is it often harder to communicate effectively with the people who mean the most? 33. What are the self-talk and the inner voices dialogues and why are they valuable? 34. Can I get all this information in one place? Yes, from these links. And the lesson 2 study guidebook satisfactions. 7. Relationship skills you need to know. 2010 second edition. 35. What are some useful books on effective communication skills? Connection with Self and Others by Daniel Wachman, Ellen Newlandy, Phyllis Miller, and Sherrod Miller. Interpersonal communication, 1988. People skills, how to assert yourself when you listen to others and resolve conflicts. And don't forget, life is about cooperation. By Robert Bottom, PhD. 1986. You Just Don't Understand Men and Women in Conversation by Deborah Tennant in 2001. If you don't see your question here, please ask. Question 2 and 8. What is interpersonal communication? Is it possible not to communicate with someone? Communication between people occurs when any perceived behavior or lack of behavior in one person causes an emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual change in another person. Because silence, no response, is often assumed to be something. There is no such thing as we can't communicate or he or she didn't answer me. Question 3. What is interpersonal communication? It is the thoughts, streams, images, memories, hunches, intuitions, senses, day and night dreams, fantasies, physical and emotional feelings and knowings that kids and adults have all the time. These can be seen as communications among the different subselves comprising our personality, our body, our spirit, or soul. Normal people like you have inner conversations, self-talk, among their subselves all the time. Question 4. Why do we communicate? Adults, kids, and infants try to fill 2 or more of these needs by communicating. To feel respected by ourselves and our partners now and over time, a constant. And 2. Give or get information so we can understand and make informed choices and how or we need to cause change and feel impactful versus powerless and or to vent, for example, to feel empathetically understood and accepted, and or we need to create excitement, avoid boredom and numbness, and or to avoid discomfort, like social silence, conflict, or painful awareness. Typically, people are unaware of their and others' communication needs, which hinders filling them. Our communication needs aim to increase current emotional, physical, and spiritual comfort. Personal and relationship problems are unfulfilled needs to comfort. Question 5. What are the 2 essentials for effective versus good communications? There are each person feeling they are got good enough of their current communication and others' needs met in a way that leaves them feeling good enough about A, themselves, and B, each other, and C, the recent process between them. For example, lying may get the first essential but not the second. To attain these essentials, communications need these requisites. Question 6 and 11. What 4 messages do we unconsciously decode from each other all the time? What is a respect message and why can it make it break any communication? The 4 simultaneous messages we send and receive are here and now. I need and I feel and I think and my attitude about you and me is. 1 level up, my current needs, feelings, and options are more important than yours, or 1 level down, they are less important than yours, or they are equal, they are just as important as yours. The last one can be called our respect messages. It is often the most powerful of the 4 messages and the least noticed in shaping communication effectiveness and relationship quality. When both partners get equal emotional respect, our message communication may be effective. Question 9. What are the 3 concurrent ways channels we all use to decode meaning from each other's perceived behaviors? They are words, verbal channel estimated to convey under 10% of the spoken meaning we decode. Voice dynamics, paraverbal channel, voice, tone, inflection, tempo, accent, intonation, pace, and volume, estimated to provide more or less 25% of the meaning we decode. And the nonverbal channel, facial expression, the body posture and movement, eye contact, touch, smell, provide most of the meaning we decode from face-to-face interpersonal communication. They provide even more for pre-verbal kids. In normal face-to-face conversation, we each unconsciously decode the meaning of each of these dynamic channels simultaneously. Few people are aware of this complex exchange. Question 10. What is a double or mixed message and what causes them? This confusing communication occurs when we perceive that the meaning of one channel, for example, the words we hear, contradicts the meaning of another channel. For example, what we see. Example, I love you, don't touch me. Such self-contradicting message leaves us feeling uncertain and easy and doubting of our own perceptions and or the sender true feelings, intentions and needs. Sending frequent mixed message is a sure sign of inherent psychological wounds and a false self-dominance. Minimizing or denying double messages or joking about it are more signs. Once aware of double messages, a useful response of meta comment can we sound like name? You say you are not upset, but you are frowning and you raised your voice. Am I confused? I'm confused. Question 12. What are the 7 communication skills I can use to meet my personal and social needs? Before continuing, can you name them? Most adults can't, regardless of maturity or formal education. The skills are awareness, paying non-judgmental attention up to 30 plus communication relationship dynamics, and clear versus fuzzy thinking. A. Developing and using a wide descriptive vocabulary, and B. Intentionally avoiding vague ambivalent words and phrases like this thing, that, it, then, you know, those people, stuff, issue, and avoiding hand grenade words and phrases which are emotionally explosive like rape, abuse, stupid, insensitive, childish, selfish, bigot, weak, chauvinist, whore, nigger, kike, rakehead, slant, frog, fanatic, redneck, incompetent. And clear thinking is awareness skill to avoid not confusing and defocus, changing the subject before finishing the current topic. Digging down below surface secondary problems, unfulfilled needs, to primary needs underneath them. Meta talk, talking objective and factually together about how we are communicating in order to identify current and chronic communication blocks. 3 more essential communication skills are empathetic listening, periodically summarizing what we perceive the essential sender thinks, feels, means, and needs without comments or questions. Doing this does not mean we agree with the speaker. Assertion. A. Being clear on our personal rights. B. Stating our current needs and options clearly, directly, and respectful in a way that our partner can hear and see, hardly expected. Resistance with empathetic listening before firmly restating our needs or options, and problem solving or conflict resolution, identifying each other's needs or brainstorming mutually satisfying win-win solutions and stimulate. Effectiveness at problem solving grows with fluency with all 6 other skills if your true self steadily guides your personality. Most people are unaware of win-win problem solving and unconsciously use various lose-lose alternatives. Could you name these 7 skills before reading these? If not, you are probably not using them. Does most people you know most people don't know what they mean to know about communicating seem more credible now. Question 13. What are the 5 types of conflict I can experience and how can I and my communication partners resolve each of them? All kids and adults encounter 5 universal stresses which are each resolved differently. Internal conflicts, disagreements among your personality subselves. Resolution requires awareness of all your personality subselves, your true self to lead your personality subselves, distraction-free times and to meditate and focus, and fluency in the 7 communication skills. For practical inner conflict resolution, option C is conflict of values like priorities, morals, attitudes, dignity, integrity, and preferences. Resolution can only be genuine mutual agreement or to disagree. The stressful alternative is to try and persuade the other persons to want to adopt your value, which risks them violating their integrity. Conflicts of current, primary, or versus surface needs. I need peace and quiet, and you need to end your boredom by doing something noisy. The communication skills awareness and digging down can reveal the partner's local primary needs. Conflicts over concrete resources like money, appliances, vehicles, clothing. These conflicts are really about whose surface and primary needs and values get priority, and conflicts over current communication needs. For example, you need to vent now. You need a cause action. Resolving each type of conflict requires a communication partners to have their true selves in charge to their other subselves and have mutual respect and 2 persons awareness bubble to want to focus on one problem at a time and to be patient and willing to compromise and to use all several communication skills cooperatively. Question 14. What do most people do instead of effective problem solving? Because most of us aren't taught effective communication basics at home or school, we are unaware of over 2 dozen common ways we block effective internal and social communication. Instead of win-win problem solving, most people fight or argue, postpone, withdraw, flee, threaten, hint, repress, submit, numb out, lecture, explain, interrogate, monologue, whine, joke, complain, defocus, and or preach. See any favorites? Here's an example. The good news is once you are aware of these blocks, you can A. reduce and avoid them, and B. help to each use your communication strengths over time. What causes any mind racing churning? How can I reduce it? Mind racing, shattering, and churning refers to spontaneous episodes of kaleidoscopic, unfocused thoughts, images, feelings, and memories. It's the opposite of focused and logical thinking reasoning, and it is probably caused by several personality subselves all communicating at once. This happens when some active subselves don't trust your true self to lead them. Patiently meeting and harmonizing a distrustful subself via parts work in a family therapy can significantly reduce mind churning and improve mental focusing over time. That raises your problem-solving effectiveness. Some kids and adults diagnosed with ADD, attention deficit disorder, and hyperactivity disorder (HD) are probably really suffering from a chaotic, leaderless inner family. Medication may reduce behavioral symptoms but won't cure inner anarchy and chaos. Lesson 1 offers a better way. Question 16. How can I learn more about my non-verbal communication habits? You can learn more by studying these articles on awareness and practice what you learn, and using the concepts of communication sequences and patterns and communication mapping to learn what's going on inside and between you and important communication partners, and learning the skill of meta talk, talking about communication, practicing it, and teaching it to interested partners. Then ask them to use it to describe your nonverbal behaviors to help or hinder shared communication. Return the favor if they wish. And you can study and experiment with this framework for giving effective verbal feedback, and ask others to describe your nonverbal communication behavioral habits and their effects. Question 17. What is an emotional level, and how does it affect my communication effectiveness? In this website, E-level describes the degree of emotional intensity in someone's at some time, low to high, when someone's E-levels rises above their ears. He or she usually can't hear, empathize, or focus well, and maintain a two-person awareness bubble. Our E-levels shift quickly depending on how calm our sub-selves are, whether our true self is steadily in charge of them, and how well our current primary needs are met. Patient, respectful, empathetic listening will usually drop a partner's E-level below their ears so they can hear you again. Use the term E-level informationally versus critically in awareness and meta talk to improve your mutual communication outcomes. Question 20. What's the difference between a request and a demand, and why should I care? A request asks the receiving person to do something where the sending person can tolerate the response like no, not now, not your way, and I am not sure. A demand is a communication to which the only acceptable responses are yes or something like let's negotiate and or problem solve. Requests and demands are types of normal assertion that they work best satisfying primary needs. If the sender and receiver share a genuine mutual respect attitude, that depends on the sender having genuine self-respect. Use awareness to get clear on whether you are making or receiving a request or demanding option. If in doubt, ask your partner, is that a request or a demand? If whether a partner is ruled by a false self. Demands usually imply I am up, one up, causing the receiver E-levels to rise and degrade and block their hearing. Question 21. How can I become more confident and skilled at asking what I need? 4 ways to grow more effective asserting your primary needs with any child or adult are: intentionally strengthen your self-respect by doing lesson 1. See if you are being controlled by a shame-based false self, and evolve a personal recovery plan if you are. Evolve a bill of personal rights you can really believe in, and practice acting on it. According to Accord other people equal rights and expect resistance as you become more self-assured, and work towards a genuine mutual respect attitude with each person in your life. This often happens spontaneously if you choose to see vexing people as wounded and unaware, not bad, stupid, dumb, selfish, deceptive, abusive, etc. Then use unawareness and dig down skills to discern your primary versus surface needs. Study and practice these communication skills with special focus on growing your fluency with assertive I messages, and over time become an expert on spotting and avoiding these communication blocks. Question 22. What's the difference between assertion and aggression? Assertion is A, being clear about your rights and as a dignified, self-respecting person, and B, firmly requesting or demanding what you need now while respecting your and your partner's dignity, worth, and current needs equally. Effective assertion can be described as the skill of saying what you mean and need in the way that your partner can hear, versus agree with you clearly. Aggression is demanding that your partner satisfies your needs without respecting their current needs, feelings, or dignity. Implied our message, I'm one up here. Watch for double messages. The words may sound respectful, but aggressors' non-verbal behaviors, my needs come first here. Question 27. What are communication sequences in partners and why are they important? A communication sequence is a series of reciprocal events, for example, I smile and reactions, so do you, between two or more personality subselves or people. For example, action, reaction chain. Every sequence has a beginning event. Marla cleared her throat and continues until someone generates an ending event. Jose walked away, hung up, changed the subject, fell asleep. Three common types of sequences are A. Conflict resolution, B. Attack, defend, counterattack, or withdraw, and C. Giving and receiving praise. A communication pattern is an average set of sequences over time between two or more people or subcells. For example, here's the typical action-reaction sequence you and I follow when we discuss money or whatever. Identifying important partners as mutual respect partners versus opponents can help you A. Spot communication sequences and blocks that are needing improving, and B. Assess any changes. Every sequence can, as an outcome, for example, participants feel their current needs well enough, or they don't. When your and your partner's respective true selves are in charge, your awareness, deep down, and meta talk skills and the communication tools of mapping can illuminate your important inner and social sequences and patterns. Question 30. What is a be spontaneous paradox and why do they harm your relationship? Communicators can unintentionally hurt valued relationships by expecting, requesting, or demanding that a partner give you something that can only be given spontaneously, like trust, respect, love, interested, empathy, enjoyment, patience, forgiveness, loyalty, and sexual desire. These paradoxes are self-defeating communications. Asking for or for expecting these relationship prizes makes it impossible for the receiver to give them. For if they try, the sender will probably count it as being motivated by fear, duty, or guilt, rather than spontaneous, genuine, appropriate meta comment is, you are asking me to want to give you something that I can only give spontaneously. Question 31. What are my options with an adult child who won't tell me what they think? Your partner may genuinely not know or be too distracted to focus and disclose, and he or she doesn't have the vocabulary to express current thoughts, feelings, and needs well enough, and or she or he feels uncomfortable and doesn't want to hear his own description, and or he or she doesn't feel safe disclosing to you. In general or right now, you can only affect the last of these. Options include A. Choosing a mutual respect attitude, and B. Using meta talk to ask your partners if there is something you have done or are doing and causes them to feel safe and confident in you. And then C. Use empathetic listening to ensure you hear their response clearly. And D. Decide if you want to change something. If your partner is shame-based or fear-based and he or she may misperceive your reactions and judge you unsafe, even though you are genuinely interested in and accepting uncritical of their thoughts and feelings. If so, a helpful option is to give a respectful versus manipulative messages on how your partner's silence affects you. For example, when you need to withhold your thoughts and feelings, and I blank describes a specific effect on you factually. Question 32. Why is it often harder to communicate effectively with the people who mean the most? People may find it easier to confide in some stranger than with mates and or some family members because the risk of rejection, criticism, and misunderstanding pain is much lower. Strangers are often more sympathetic and less disapproving, preachy, and or argumentative. They usually don't bring unfinished relationship stressors, old baggage to the conversation, though your venting may trigger unresolved issues with other people in their lives. Typical businesses and professional relationships, people minimize anger, disrespect, and dislike. They stress that and pretend an or genuine respect, so it may feel safer to talk at work than at home with some limits. This is especially true in low nurturing dysfunctional homes and families. A contributing factor is that most people don't know how to meta talk, listen empathetically, and or to identify and assert their needs and boundaries respectfully to make communicating safe at home. Question 33. What are self-talk and inner voice dialogues, and why are they valuable? Self-talk is the constant stream of thoughts, memories, fantasies, and inner visions, senses, and images that we call thinking. Inner voice dialogues are internal conversation, debates, negotiations, or screaming matches between different parts of your personality. For example, voice sub-self 1, let's have a hot fridge Sunday. Voice 2, sub-self 2, are you a berserk? What, 900 calories and 50 laps around the block? Facto. I don't think so. Becoming objectively aware of your self-talk and which sub-selves are expressing themselves can help you to decide if you are ruled by a false self or your gifted true self, capital S, at a crucial time. See Self-Improvement Lesson 1 on all the other previous lessons. Thank you very much for listening to me. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell button. The email for donations and consultations is down below on the description box, and also the sources of the article I just read. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye!